think I've said this in some of my other videos, and even if I did, I'm going to say it again. This is one of the most photographed spots along the Appalachian Trail in the state of Georgia. It's either one or two. Blood Mountain is either in front of it or just behind it as far as ranking in most pictures taken. And I want to say it's like number 8 along the entire length of the trail. One of my favorite spots is called Three Forks. Long Creek flows in from over there. Stover Creek comes in from back over there. And we are looking up the Nuntutla. So 3 creeks merge here to form what is iconically known as Three Forks. We have arrived at what I'm going to call the second iconic spot along the AT in Georgia. This is Long Creek Falls, just a short, not even a quarter-mile side trail from the intersection with the BMT and the AT, about a mile north of Three Forks. Super popular area in the summer. You can hardly get a parking spot within a mile on the Forest Service Road back at Three Forks. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some top layers off. I got pretty warm coming up that hill back there, and we'll get back with y'all. All right, so I got that jacket and hoodie off. Hoodie was dry, so I went ahead and packed it in the bag. But one of the things I like to do, if you get your outer layer wet from sweat or moisture, turn it inside out and strap it to the top of your pack, especially early in the day like this. It won't take it long to dry out, especially once I get out of this valley and get up in that sun going towards Hightower. Once I get in the sun, it'll be good and dry, and the next time I stop, I'll just put it in the pack, and then it'll be good to go for tonight. It's gonna be, I'd say, at or below freezing, so I'm definitely gonna want it. Just real quick, for anybody that's new here, my name is Derek. This is my channel, Dirtbag Adventures. I have built this channel over the course of going on 3 years now. We're doing things exactly like this, just getting out in the woods, mountain biking, kayaking, hiking, etc. All different things, all different ways. Today, as you can see and have probably already guessed, we are headed northbound on the Appalachian Trail. It's a section I've hiked many times. This time it's a little bit different. Started at Springer parking lot this morning, and I'm going north to Blood Mountain. I'm gonna summit Blood Mountain, then I'm gonna backtrack back down. I'm gonna jump on the Duncan Ridge Trail and take Duncan Ridge west for about 17, 18 miles through Coopers Creek WMA, and then I'm gonna jump on the Benton MacKay, also known as the Benton MacKay or Benton MacKay, and I'm going to hike it back south to Springer parking lot. It's a big loop known as the Georgia Loop. Depending on what sources you look at, it is known as one of the hardest loop hikes in Georgia. Also, 8 out of 10 sources on Google will show that the Duncan Ridge Trail itself, from point to point, is known as the hardest hiking trail in Georgia. I think mostly due to elevation gain and decrease, and because there's no water sources. They hold a pretty popular trail run there called the Georgia Death March or the Georgia Death Run. Extremely difficult hiking. I don't think it's maintained that well. Going to be a lot of blowdowns from what I understand. Just a forewarning now, I will not be recording the entire trip. As you can see, I'm already 4 or 5 miles in, just now starting to record. I'm also coming in with the odds against me. I'm just now getting over what I think, or what we all think, was the flu. Severely dehydrated the last couple days. I've been pushing electrolytes the last 2 days. Currently, I am hydrated and still pushing electrolytes. We're in a drought right now in Georgia. The water tables are very, very low. There are several water sources I pass coming in that usually have water this time of year that do not currently. Duncan Ridge doesn't have water to begin with, so there's going to be about an 18-mile stretch where I'm not going to have water at all. I'm hoping that the water source, just as you're going up Blood Mountain, the little spring there, has water, so I can at least get 3.5 liters before I hit Duncan Ridge, but we'll just have to figure it out when we get there. Come along. So it's been a couple years since I've hiked this specific section that goes by Hawk Mountain. I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years actually. I hiked it with my brother Zach quite a few years back, but back over across that ridge over there was a big group camping area, primitive camping, that I didn't know existed. I just showed you the sign there that said not the AT. That goes up to the top of Hawk Mountain. And then right here, down there is the shelter. I remember we're not going to take any of these side trails. We're going to continue on the AT. But fun fact, at the top of that mountain right there, Hawk Mountain, used to be the site of an old fire tower. Fire tower's been going for years. But at the very top summit of the mountain is still a big, large brick with a number in it from where the helicopters could fly over and see what fire tower it was. And there's a road down off the main Forest Service Road 42 that goes up to the top of Hawk Mountain called Hawk Mountain Road. And when you get to a false summit, and there's a big pasture. There used to be a bunch of camping areas. To the side of the pasture was an old four-wheel drive road that went up to the top of the fire tower. And the gate used to be open back around 2014, 2015 when I was in the Jeep Club. And we took a couple of Jeeps up there one night and stayed and camped overnight. And if you're familiar with my channel, almost a year ago, I did a podcast with my brother Nathan. And in that podcast, we talked about camping up there. And it was one of the nights that we had some really weird stuff that's kind of unexplainable happen to us in the middle of the woods that we've never been able to explain. So, yeah, that's just looks like a good little jaunt to the top of Hawk Mountain up there. Also, fun fact, back coming around this bowl here, one of the first, actually the time that me and my brother hiked, we hiked from Springer to Hawk Mountain Shelter, and then we doubled back to Three Forks. And on our way through, coming to Hawk Mountain Shelter, we had a big bear come down the side of Hawk Mountain towards us. Was my first ever bear encounter on the AT, one of many. Kind of in the middle of eating lunch on the go here. I'm trying to keep moving, keep my mile pace up, but right over there is Hawk Mountain. That is where we were just at a little bit ago. Came down that valley, come to hike up. I believe this is Sassafras Mountain. Years ago, when I first got into hiking, probably 10, 12 years ago, one of the first people I ever got to go hiking with me was my brother Nathan. And we started at Springer, and we camped on this mountain the first night. It was freezing cold. We didn't know what we were doing. We froze to death all night. But we camped overlooking this valley here. And down there in that valley is Camp Merrill. And you could hear people yelling, and you could see tracer rounds, and there was helicopters flying with spotlights. They've actually already been flying this morning. They've flown up out of the valley down there twice. A while ago, he came just right around the top of Hawk Mountain, circled back down in there, and then I heard him way off in the distance behind me. So I was hoping we'd get a little bit of aerial show once I started this ridge walk, but right now it seems he's flown off in another direction. But I think I've got a little bit of a ridge walk for a while, and then we're gonna drop off down into Cooper's Gap, and then we got a couple more climbs before we reach Woody's, and then about a mile to Preacher's. So it's just about noon. It's 11:40. We may be on pace to make Preacher's by nightfall, but it's gonna be real close. Be a 21-mile day. Stay tuned. I don't know if you can hear it, but you may be able to hear the helicopter off in the distance, but I've gone around a couple other knobs now. Here's a good look at the, I'm assuming what is the helipad at the camp. I've been watching it down there in the valley. You can see a couple rooftop buildings glimmering off over there on the left. So we've made it to another super popular area. This is known as Cooper's Gap, not to be confused with another gap that's a little further north called Cooper Gap. We'll cross it in a little while as well. But as you can see, this is a super popular camping area. This is where a lot of the northbound bubble ends up staying on Knot 1 or 2 as they come north out of Springer. This is Forest Service Road 42. If you follow this back around, it'll come back to Hightower Gap where we were at earlier. There's a road that comes up just there and intersects. That's Forest Service Road 80. I don't know the name, but it goes down to the camp. Looks like we got some trail angels. Left some water. There's actually water in here. There is. I'm going to take full advantage of that. I'm going to fill up my bottle, and I'm going to be sure to come back and replace that when I get off the trail, because as I mentioned earlier, there's very little water right now. All right, filled up my water bottle. Got a liter of water out of it. There's still enough for probably another 32 to 36 ounces of somebody's Nalgene. So hopefully it's not laced with anything. That's just one of those risks you got to take. Generally, I've never had any issue. I've never got sick by drinking Trail Angel, Trail Magic, whatever you want to call it, water. It's not the first time I've had to use it, and probably won't be the last. That's why I'm going to replace it. There's the Forest Service 80 over there. Blue Ridge Road, if you go back this way, will bring you back out to Suches. And then that down there will bring you back out to Canada Creek. The AT goes up this way on towards Gooch Gap, and we're going to keep sending it. I'm about 30 minutes off of what my pace should be, since I stopped a little bit back there and was eating. So we'll see if we can pick up a little bit of time. 10.5 miles in on a 20-mile day proposed. So we'll see what happens. This is one of my favorite things about hiking in the winter. No matter how far you look up, out ahead, or down, you can see all the way down into the valley. And that down there is Deep Gap. Right over there, actually you can kind of see it right there, is a side trail called Justice Gap, but it's labeled as private on the map. But I'm not understanding why, because it literally just goes back out to Forest Service Road 42 at Justice Gap. When you're down in these low valleys, you got these giant mountains and these giant hardwood trees just completely encased around you. Makes you realize just how small In the grand scheme of things, you really are. So I've had a decision weighing on my mind since about lunch, about noon when I was eating. I knew I was going to get in this situation. Basically, I'm about to round this knob and I'm going to be at Gooch Mountain Shelter. Be about 16 miles on the day. I'm pretty sure Gooch Mountain Shelter is going to be empty. Solid water source there, down in a valley, out of the wind. I wouldn't have to get my tent out. I could have a nice spot to cook dinner. But I just passed this good water source here. So I went ahead and got my Sawyer out real fast, filled up my liter bottle. So now I have 3 liters in bottles. And then I went ahead and filled up my large soft pouch, 32 ounce Sawyer pouch. So I've got 3.5, 4 liters of water on me. I think I'm gonna make the push for Preacher's Rock at Big Cedar Mountain. It's not a very good trade-off. Big Cedar Mountain's on the top of the mountain. It's at Preacher's Rock. It's open. I'm sure there's going to be wind in there. There's not a valuable water source there. I know there's an established camp area. I'll have to hang my bag, my food bag. I'll have to build up a barrier to cook my food because I've got fuel tabs. I'll have to be careful doing that because there's a high fire danger right now. But I want to be there for the sunrise in the morning. It's one of the best that you can find anywhere. So, I don't know. It is what it is. We'll see how I'm feeling when I get on up here to the shelter. Just like I anticipated, right around the corner from where I got water. So it's 3:20. It's too early to be setting up camp. I still got 2 hours of daylight. I can make another 4 miles, 4.5, and that's what I need. So I'm gonna buckle down and head for Preacher's Rock. Catch up with you guys later. All right, guys, I told y'all I'd check in later. I've been busy. So I made it just shy of my goal. The wind picked up a lot, and the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I could freeze to death because the temperature is supposed to drop down below freezing tonight. With the wind picking up, it was just going to be absolutely too cold. So I found this place here. Pretty nice view. Tent's right up the hill. Got my food bag hanging already. And changed clothes already. Got everything set up. So I'm gonna make dinner and get ready for Hiker Midnight. I'll catch you guys in the morning.